Hello, Virgo, and welcome to your April forecast. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. I'm really happy to see you. I hope you're doing well. This reading can always be used for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus, and I like to get started with channeled messages. Today, as I was tuning into your particular sign, here's what I got. Interestingly enough, it was like an image of a pineapple, just the fruit portion of it. And when I think about the pineapple, the hard shell is the first thing that I get. And I feel like for many of you, there's been this protective energy, maybe even sort of like for self-preservation. It's like, I need to just not let this bother me. I have to kind of push this back. There's a time and a place for that defensive stance, and I think it's really helpful as, you know, there's a lot going on in the world at the moment. I get that. But when it comes to relationships, when it comes to creativity, when it comes to new opportunities, there has to be sort of a moment where that can come down and there's an ability to be vulnerable or to be open or to be honest. So knowing when to keep the guard up and when to allow that shield to come down, that's the first message. I think it's really important, speaking of like new opportunities or new relationships, in those areas, because if we keep it there constantly, people don't get a chance to know who we are. So occasionally let down the guard and see if something wonderful could come from that. The other thing that it's a word in my head, which is bittersweet. It kind of reminds me of pineapple in general. Sometimes it's tart. Sometimes it makes your tongue feel a little bit crazy. And so it's an interesting fruit in that. But I'm thinking more the sort of sweetness follows. So for some of you, there's been a bitter moment in time, maybe an adjustment, a loss, a disappointment, a surprise. And whatever challenge it may be, or maybe in front of you rather, once you get past that hard shell, once you get to like the heart of the matter, it's a lot sweeter. It feels like there's something amazing just on the horizon. So we want to allow ourselves to manifest that, because I honestly, the older I get, I do think that when we can set it out there, like it's going to be a good day, or I'm ready to make this happen, it just breaks down the walls, at least the mental ones and the energetic ones, and that actually opens up physical opportunities in the real world, in the 3D. So let's take a look at the cards. Let's see what might be causing that sort of the shield to go up. Let's see what might be a little bit bitter, and might hopefully see what's going to be sweet around the corner. I'll especially be looking at like near future and outcome to help with that. And then in any of the extended forecast, if I see certain things coming up in those categories, I'll highlight it as well. Let's stop talking and start shuffling the cards. All right, please close your eyes. Imagine that it is a beautiful night scene in front of you. You can see the Milky Way and all the stars above you. One star is shining brighter than the rest, and its light is so brilliant that it reaches from the outer distances of the universe and connects with your heart, creating a circle of light around your body, connecting you to Source, to your higher wisdom, and calling in angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters. Let's allow them to come forth now and see what kind of energy and information is in store for this month ahead. Seeing what's bitter, seeing what's sweet, and everything in between. Interesting. Okay. Beautiful synchronicity with the Rest card and the Four of Swords, especially since this is a kind of restless Four of Swords where the person is upright. All right, Let's get started. We're going to begin with your Catalyst card. It reads metal, but we're kind of looking at it in a molten state here, which reminds us that certain things are malleable in our life. So the Catalyst helps us create the necessary action, and the thing that would be required here to heat metal up would be like fire or energy. And metal, in this case, would represent something that has potential, something that's kind of locked and solid, but can be made to move. Interesting. I mean, it kind of reminds me of, like, as a metaphor of us, right? Of you, humans in general, but like we get very stuck, very rigid. And sometimes that rigidity holds us back from making a necessary leap or move. And sometimes we need something to create like a breaking point or a melting point here. So it can be one that you spark, you create, or it can be external. This is where the guard may come up. This is where the sort of, the skin of the pineapple might be coming forth, because you're like, I'm afraid, I'm bristling a little bit towards this necessary change. And this card is saying you can be both strong and fluid, because that is what this molten metal is. It will eventually then form into something new. I also like the idea of reforging, reinvention. In this case here, it could be kind of like the Judgment card. So you're taking all that was, mixing it up a little bit, creating the same strength but in a different form. So you're allowed to reinvent. You can break the mold, you can make a new mold. It's your mold in general. So when we're talking about that, it's your life, it's your path. And so who better than you to say, I'm going to take this one apart and I'm going to make this. Okay? So the main thing here is, are you ready to do the work and lean into that change? That's the one thing that kind of keeps us rigid, is it's predictable. It's somewhat to a degree, and sometimes it's easier or safer, but it may not be allowing you to expand. It may not be giving you the flexibility that you need. Let's take a look at everything that's in front of us here. One of the big takeaways this month, I said I was going to look at the near future, change. There's some unexpected changes on the horizon. There's a couple of choices in front of you, and discernment is going to be really important. Big issues around trust and communication coming forth. But what I like that's central to this spread is creativity, joy in relationships, and then also this firm foundational card at the center. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take it one card at a time. The center of the spread is the Ten of Pentacles. In a relationship, this is about as steady as you get. Firm foundation, it's signing on the dotted line. It can mean marriage, a contract, a promise. In business or in money, it represents something that you can count on as well. And it is the ultimate card in the minor suit anyway. So what we see here is you getting ready to take that next step. And you got two tens, the Ten of Pentacles and the Ten of Wands. So many of you are either finishing something or you're in this really big shift in your life. Something big is about to change. And we'll talk about that in a few moments. I mentioned that it might be necessary because metal needs something to change it, to have a spark or have something going on. So if you look at the little baby, there's like this spark right in front of the baby. It's actually coming from the older person, which is a reminder that you're never too young, you're never too old to make something happen. That spark of creativity, I actually think it's strongest at the two extremes, because when you're young, you're not taught that things are impossible. This is why children have the capacity to learn and do almost anything. It's not until we put all of these sort of levels of expectations and all these filters on them that they start to get a little bit jaded or maybe lack self-confidence. But at the beginning, the world is their oyster. So there's that. By the time you get to the other side of the coin, you have learned that life is too precious, too finite to care. So you get back into a more fluid energy and you think, what have I got to lose? Who knows how many days I have on this planet? So the children don't care because they're not really fearing, how many days there are. But when you're a little bit older, it's sort of like, now I'm going to have some fun. So the inner child wants to come out and play, and that childlike wonder and possibility energy is really the key to success. I love this particular version of it for that. We also see relationships going to the next level, and again, you might be signing on the dotted line, okay? This can also represent a house or a home or a business purchase. So we'll keep an eye out for how that might pan out. But let's go to the next card. So these two are basically connected. Whenever I see the 5, I usually see the 7 of Swords. And since we saw both of them, the one that pulls the strings is the devil. So I think the devil's in the details here. So if there is a contract that you're signing, read the fine print. There may be something that doesn't immediately come to surface. Let's compare this for a moment to the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card, because there's a couple of things that I want you to focus on. So in the background here, do you notice that there are some people that are caught up in a disagreement? You have the 5 of Swords. Ostensibly, it's these 3 people. And this is one sort of thing that might need your attention. And then what happens is if you're caught up in that distraction, something else can slip by. So don't let a smokescreen get in the way. Sometimes people use that, they create a problem over here and then they focus on something else and no one is kind of like checking them. So if you're in a role where you need to be a parent, a guardian, a boss, or a supervisor, and you're looking at a lot of things, delegate some of this so that you can keep an eye on everything. Don't get too pulled into one or the other. You kind of have to look at it, the big picture. Both need your attention, but neither can drain you. I hope that makes sense. Now we're going to just take this at face value, but I had to look at the smoke screen first, or the distraction. 7 of Swords can simply be someone that says, yeah, I'll do it, and they don't. Or someone who consistently makes promises and just doesn't do it. Sometimes people are unaware that they're overextending themselves. It can even come from a desire to want to please, but sometimes this is premeditated and someone just wants to see if they can get away with something. So it is important when the 7 of Swords happens to check. Did you understand? Is there anything else going on in your life? Are we okay? And if all of these things check, it's like, well, don't do this. This is not what we agreed to and it needs to stop. So you create a firm boundary. You basically give them their one and final chance. But if it's been a consistent thing, this is the time to sort of cut the connection and just say, this isn't working. And that will save you. Then you can focus on the other thing. This isn't worth your attention if something bigger is going on, okay? So we're going to call it out if someone's doing something wrong, but also don't let it be your take you away from the bigger picture. It's not the center card. It's a distraction. It's on top of this. This isn't the main focus either. It's in the environment. These are smoke and mirrors and distractions, and they're unnecessary. This can also be your own sort of cognitive stuff. So the 7 of Swords is basically when we say to ourselves, no one's going to mind. I don't need to do this. It's basically like procrastination. Whereas this one is basically you giving yourself a hard time. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not whatever enough. Together, these two are very effective at keeping us from moving forward. And that's why you have the 4 of Swords up here, because it's a card of basically feeling mentally paralyzed. So I'm helping you get rid of these so that the paralysis goes away, okay? It's a very powerful spread that we have here. And these are very avoidable, very transmutable, okay? And they're in positions. It's all about positions when we're doing a Celtic Cross. This is a potential distraction, and this is in the environment. They're not you. They don't need to be you anyway, okay? So I hope I helped you with that. What we look at in the deep past is a very valuable card, literally and figuratively. The 9 of Pentacles is a card of abundance, independence, and a slow and steady approach. Typically, there would be a little snail on the card, but suffice it to say, even if we're looking at the flowers around her, they take time to grow on that vine. It takes like TLC. So what I see for many of you Virgo out there, is that you're not afraid to take on a difficult task. You've been working on yourself. You help others. This work ethic, this developmental energy is going to pay off in the long run. This is one of the sweet parts of this reading. The bitter stuff is this, whatever this distraction is, but the sweetness is the 9 of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles. There's already something right there, right underneath the surface that wants to come through. So we're going to get rid of the distractions. We're going to focus on the long game. We're going to not rush and know that you're just maybe like one step away from a breakthrough. The opportunity this month is to use your voice. Recent past, we have Queen of Swords. She's in reverse. All the stuff I said about calling out nonsense, you can do that. Just stop. We don't have time for this. Let's focus. So many of you are kind of stepping into that. It's almost like a project manager role and trying to corral everyone into doing what they should do. She is very concise and very direct, almost like a surgeon. But let's look at this card upright. So you can see her looking at that sword, holding it with care, and deciding how and where am I going to take action? What am I going to speak about? How am I going to use my skills, my leadership to make this happen? Action. She's all about action. Not wasting any time is the reversal here. The challenge with this is to make sure that the communication lands in the right way and that the timing is right, not just for the communication, but the action. So, for instance, if there's something serious going on and you're not present, or you seem like you're not sort of focused on that action can be read in a certain way. If you come in and say something and you're unaware of something else that's going on, the timing could be off. And even just the choice of words, depending on the audience, can be misconstrued. So it's really good to kind of do it in small bursts and check in. You got to listen as much as you're speaking. So the first thing is to check. Is now a good time to have a meeting, to have a conversation? If not, when can we chat this week? So start with that. Also, how are you doing today? What's going on? Explain how we got to this point if you're a manager. And then after you've done all of the checking in, then you can basically say or do what you need to do. But you have to take the pulse check first. And always assume that there might be something more that you don't know. Say, hey, I just want to make sure if I missed anything here. Were you clear on everything? Are you ready to talk? You've done all of the prep work that you need. Once that happens, then you can be a lot more direct. Say, well, I'm glad we got that cleared up. Now, here's what I need. This is what's going on. This is what I think. But you have to listen. You have to check in first. And if you do that, she's one of the most powerful cards, even in reverse, or especially in reverse, because she's not wasting any time. So now's the time to take action. Now, if we take it out of the communication piece, when it comes to your own life and a decision that you're sitting on, she's just saying, you know what to do, but it's kind of stuck in here. So we need to bring it out into communication and also just into like follow through and action. Okay. We have a very unusually illustrated Four of Swords in the crowning position. Let's talk about this, and then of course I'll compare it to the traditional card. So we see someone here who is ostensibly just waking up, because the Four of Swords is usually a card of rest, but we'll talk about the active piece. I think some of you might be pushing yourself beyond a point of productivity, or you're restless, meaning that you're tired of sitting around. So one thing that I always like to remind people is that stillness or meditation or just kind of being in one place at once, it's not the same as doing nothing. Being still and doing nothing are different. So one thing that the universe wants you to do is to rest, recalibrate, and be still. And if you can do that, it feels like something amazing will unfold. But there's a little bit of just sort of sitting with something for a minute. It's not quite the Hanged Man. It's going to be a lot faster than that. But once you get some proper rest, I think you'll see it from a different perspective. And if you're thinking, Nicholas, I sleep all the time, this could just be changing an environment like you would if you were just taking a trip or a vacation and just being somewhere else for a second so that your mental sort of slate can clean and you can just feel this sense of, that's actually what I get is like taking a deep breath. Here's the traditional card. Look at how peaceful it is. 3 swords above, representing the 3 of swords that is now healed, and the healing provides that ace that's sitting right beneath the sepulcher. And all of this is basically a metaphor for putting something to rest. So if there was a difficult person, place, or chapter in your past, this is the grieving, this is the releasing, this is also not rushing things. And it's so potent and so powerful that this is coming through right before the death card. So we do see a change, but even though it's happening, you need more time with it. And there is this sort of desire to skip what's on this card, which is rest, and go straight to action. So my encouragement is to rest a little bit or sit with it just a little bit and there'll be plenty of time to embrace the action that we see in the Death card. As I look at this card, an old song from the 80s, a TV song from the show of the same name, A Different World, comes through. So if you Google it on YouTube, look at season 2, Aretha Franklin sang it. And it's kind of a coming of age song, right? So it's a different world than where you came from. Everything's changing, right? And what you were taught may not exactly be what is happening now. And if we cling on to the expectations and the comforts of the past, we can't really embrace the potential of tomorrow. And you got to create your own script. You have to chart your own path. And I think many of you are at a fork in the road. Do I stay? Do I go? Do I choose what I've always done? Do I choose something new? You'll figure that out. I'm not here to tell you which path. I'll show you the opportunities here. But it feels like something really exciting is coming through. It's just the release that needs to happen. The traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card reminds us that change is happening at the perfect time. Change, transformation, death, whatever you want to call it, it's indiscriminate. When it needs to come through, it comes through. In this card, you see a king, you see a child, you see a woman. There's a religious figure over here on the other side. Anybody at any point, at any station in their life may be called to make a change, may be asked to shed their skin and walk into something new. The interesting thing about this is often accompanied by something new. We see a little baby here. This can be birth too. Birth and creation and Genesis, just like what we see here, or reinvention, and then release of something. You could just be letting that go. The creative process is complete, 10 of Pentacles. Now we're done with this, closing the chapter, death. Now it's time to walk through that and try something different. So this could just be the ultimate delivery. I'm done, let's move on. But oftentimes, the best and also the most challenging things can be married up side by side. You've got what it takes to get through this if you're going through a combination of the two. So again, maybe you just got some really good news, but something around you is not in the same sort of energy. So whether it's the job, the relationship, someone that you love, you might be juggling these two things at once as well. So just take care of yourself. And that is why the first and most important thing here in the crowning position was to rest. And that's why I was drawn to pull the traditional card here. Don't rush through that. Take your time. Ease into the change. Once you do that, sweetness follows. We have Knight of Cups coming through here. This could represent love, joy, passion, a new relationship, a chance for you to follow your passion. It's very interesting that we have two cards with people riding horses here. So we have the Angel of Death, and then we have it leading you to something happier. So letting go of one thing and moving on to something better. Something better is around the corner. That's what I said at the beginning, and this is you charging towards that. This Knight is also putting the cup out there saying, I want this, or I'm proud of this, or look at this. But there's some joy and passion in it, and basically that passion is pulling other people in kind of like a lasso or a magnet. So you need to feel it in order to be able to have others connect. So find your passion. That actually might be the title today, is Find Your Passion. The second one is It's a Different World. You're somewhere between those two things. And maybe part of this new world is deciding, I deserve to be happy. I want to do something that really is fulfilling, not just, putting money in the bank account, but also like my heart is happy and I'm making a difference. I'm putting an indelible mark on the world around me. And I feel like at the end of this experience, I will know I was here and others will as well. So what is your legacy? I mean, we're kind of getting big and esoteric here, but that's part of the question. That's part of the opportunity in this month in particular, okay? All right, in the environment, like I said, this does not need to take more mental real estate than it does. This is a beautiful version of the the Five of Swords. So we have this beautiful dragonfly, at the center, and then a bunch of little sort of cosmic fairies flying through the air. So the key here is to rise above. Rise above difficult communication. We'll go back to the traditional Five of Swords. So if someone around you is argumentative, you just don't take the bait. What you can do instead is say, are you okay? Is everything going well? This isn't like you. Because there may be something that's causing them to be a little bit agitated. So you could diffuse it. You could also choose, if you know that it's just their nature, to say, let's talk another time. This isn't a good, you could just delay it. You could also just walk away. You don't usually, quote unquote, win or get a return on the energy when you engage with Five of Swords. There's a better way. There's a better path. This isn't the person. So let's take it in a completely different realm. You may be trying to get to somebody. Like, this could be an administrative assistant. This could be a gatekeeper, someone that can give you a signature or let you in the door. For some reason, they're not connecting. Find another way. Maybe there is someone else within a group that can help you. So in a family, talk to another person. In a business, there might be another department that can help you. In life, if you're getting blocked in one pathway, there's a better pathway that's waiting. And so look elsewhere. There might be a better home, a better job, a better love interest, a better opportunity. Because we want something like this. We want those, when you look at the columns and all the strength and all the stability in this card, we also see loyalty and friendship and that sort of spark. That's what you're looking for. If anything is less than that, the universe may put up a block. And sometimes blocks are good because they force us to go in a different path. So don't force the connection. And again, look at the connection. It's right there in the center. You either feel the spark or you don't. Okay? You have two cards coming through here. This is potentially the fork in the road where you have to make a choice. So in one of the two cards, we have a move. We have something being finished. We have you deciding to move in a different direction, perhaps. 10 of Wands. It's also completion, like two cards of completion, 10 of Pentacles at the center, 10 of Wands. I think some of you have checked off all that you had on one list, and it's sort of like, what's next? This is a card of reclamation, reclaiming balance, fighting for something that's wrong in your life, that is imbalanced, that isn't where it should be. So you don't have to take on so much. That's one thing with the 10 of Wands. Usually this is a burdened card where the person's leaning over. So you can just decide, I'm going to let that go. And I'm going to find other things that create balance. I don't have to balance it out for everyone else. So for some of you, this is just letting go and focusing on, what do you need? What is this moment about for you? Saying no is a very big piece of the Justice Reverse card. She's coming through and she's saying, and it's so important, by the way, but she's saying, this isn't right. Five of Swords, this conversation isn't going, and this isn't productive. You agreed to do something else and you're not doing it. So she's encouraging you, when these situations come up, to diffuse, to also maybe even delegate to someone else if this isn't worth your time and energy, and to finish what you've started, because you're so close. We see that you're 90% of the way here in this card, and then these two tens showing me that you can hit it out of the park if the smoke screens are not front and center, and if you simply stand up and decide what you want. Traveling could be good. For some of you also, you might just need to get a different perspective, and changing up the environment could be really, really helpful. But in Hopes, Fears, and Opportunities, there is a chance to reclaim what's rightfully yours, or to reclaim balance and to let something go. That's basically what I'm seeing here, and or finish something. Completion and release are two thematic things that I keep seeing in all of the cards here. The universe has some surprises for you this month. The Eight of Swords is something that you didn't see coming. It doesn't necessarily have to be good or bad. One thing that you can actually manifest is, I'm ready for a really positive, some good news. Good news can be an example of this. Something unexpectedly amazing. Death can come in that way. It can be death, but it can also be birth. That's why we kind of see these two side by side, because like I said, it's two sides of the same coin. You let go of one thing, something else comes in. So that's it. You maybe just didn't see something coming, but that doesn't mean that the package isn't exactly what you need. The wrapper, the external piece may surprise you, but what's inside, that's the sweet part. So there's something great at the core, but you might actually not see it initially. So give yourself time to go beneath the surface and make sure that you're not missing something. Don't ignore something that needs to be dealt with. These two things do need to be dealt with, but they shouldn't be the main focus. If you ignore them, they get bigger. We don't want that. Don't underestimate your own value, and feel free to ask questions. There's something unexpected this month, and when you do a little bit of digging, you'll be happy that you did that. Let's go ahead now and take this one level deeper. We're going to go into health, wealth, love, and destiny, beginning with the energy of health, which is your mind, body, and spirit. The oracle card that came through here is Brave the Journey. So you've got exactly what it takes to step into something brand new. It may not be what you want or unknown or whatever the challenge is in front of you. It's just saying, you've got this. And you'll find, I found this for myself too, but you find strength and bravery and wisdom that you didn't know you had exactly when you need it. For some of you, it could be, we could take this at face value, there could be a person in your life that's transitioned. You think you're ready, but you're never really ready until it happens. For me, I've had to deal with it twice for both of my parents, but the second time it was even more intense. But you're never ready. You're never really, really ready. You can do all the prep work you think, but when it's your partner, your child, your parent, your dog, a friend, someone that you love, you're never really ready. So give yourself credit there. You're going to be okay. But what happens is something amazing. I know when I had to go through the process with my mom, I just stepped into a power I didn't know I had, and I had to start making some major decisions. And it's almost like you step out of yourself for a second, you do everything that you need to, and then afterwards the grief hits, right? But you will find the ability to navigate, okay? Take it outside of death and just look at change. Part of the fun part with leaning into something unknown, recent employment or unemployment, recent birth, anything that's just kind of thrust into your life, and it's like, wow, you don't know how you're going to do it, but you figure it out. Even, let's see, Apollo's behind me now. I can put him on. Okay. Hey, buddy, getting comfortable back there? When I first adopted this sweet little dog, I didn't know what was in store because I'd never had a dog as an adult. As a kid, I did, but my family was there to help me. So it's a lot of responsibility, right? You got to go to the vet. You have to go to the groomer. They have to get their teeth cleaned. They have their own challenges in the process, but you figure out a way. It's like, I love this beautiful soul, and I'm going to figure it out. Parents can do that. If you're in a new relationship, whatever it is, find the inner bravery and just say, let's do this, okay? Looking at this from a broader perspective, here's what I'm picking up on. It's important to be real with yourself. So the Seven of Swords is like, if you're going to make a promise, keep it, whether that's eating better, working out, etc. If you have a healthcare professional and they're asking you what's wrong, you have to say what's going wrong. And you have to kind of take accountability for your part in whatever challenges are in front of you. So this is being honest with yourself. If you feel like someone isn't listening or doesn't have your best interest at hand, it's about getting a second opinion. This is about not letting the inner saboteur, whisper into your ear and take you off path. Get enough rest. It's quality and quantity, folks. So when you wake up, you should feel that sense of being refreshed. If you're waking up and you're tired, or you're trying to go to sleep and you're restless, that's something to talk to your doctor about. We need to make sure that you're getting enough quality rest. Could be a throat activation, sore throat. There could just be something that you need to talk about. So whatever it is, talk it out. This could even just be talking to a therapist, right? A change is necessary. I actually feel like this change can really take you into a new direction, but it's just deciding. And it could be a really big shift, like downsizing your house or, changing up your diet or your exercise routine. It'll be good. This can be a wake-up call. Something that your doctor says, either change this or else, or you see it in your family, or you have a brush with death and you're like, I don't want to do that again. Okay, sometimes we need that wake-up call. Other than that, most of the cards are pretty good. This is encouraging you to get to the eye doctor or to the audiologist, hearing and sight. Whatever's going on there, make sure that that's taken care of. Balance. So this could be literal balance, where it could be an inner ear issue, or it could be making sure that you've got the work-life balance that you need. Also, if you happen to be moving, be careful. Try not to pull out like a muscle in your back or, anything of that nature. Don't overdo it. You might be taking on too much emotionally or physically. Okay? And that's everything. So let's move on now to the next subcategory we're going to look at, or the next main category, I should say: wealth, resources, life purpose, and career. In wealth, yes, we talked about the rest card. So it means a little something. Well, we'll talk about it at face value and then I'll go deeper. Face value is some of you are tired. Please don't work yourself to exhaustion, especially when we have cards like this here. It's not worth it. Take care of yourself. You could also be bored. So if I'm getting a rest card in work, it's a weird combination. It can sometimes be that you're both busy and also bored or detached. And that's basically a call to change things up. Find a place where you're feeling a little bit more connection. Maybe you're just looking for an easier point in your life. So for those near retirement, this is great. For those of you that are like, I just need a job that taxes me less, or if you're students, you want a semester that's a little less stressful, absolutely. More rest, more quality time in your life. I support that. Let's go a little deeper and look at 5 major sections within wealth so we can give some more insights. We're going to look at those of you who have a traditional job, then those who own their own company, in other words, entrepreneurs, those that are seeking work. I mentioned students, this one's for you, and then finally, retirees. All right, we're going to start first with those of you that are employed, really wanting and needing to take a step back from the stress in your life. I like that this card was reversed. In the upright position, we see all of the swords above the person representing this sort of incremental ladder type energy where it's like one thing on top of another on top of another. And I like to kind of imagine that this is it's like going down a rabbit hole, right? What if this happens? What if that happens? We're going to take a deep breath and realize that tomorrow is what? A reset, because we have this card coming through. Anything is possible. Anything can happen, like the Ellie Goulding song. So tomorrow, it could go really well. There could be an unforeseen challenge. No matter how much you worry about it, you can't really change that. Get some sleep. Stress reduction is really important here. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. Basically take it one step at a time, okay? And if you need to talk to someone, please do. Counselor, therapist, expert, friend, doesn't matter. Find the person in your life that feels like a good and trusted ally, and now is the time to do that. Okay, if you have a traditional job, there could be worries. I mean, we're in a very interesting time. I don't get too much into politics, but I can look at economics and I can look at the big sort of picture right now. It's changed, right? What was is not. And some of that sort of flexibility is in thinking through new ways to work, new places to work, because we do have a card here of moving. So if you're flexible in working in different industries and different locations, you might have a chance to either in the same job get transferred, or if you're tired of something, you can segue into something new. But suffice it to say, this period of time is marked by very quick change. It's in the future, near future. And frustrating though it may be, and this is going to strike everybody as we're looking at work, 8 of Swords. It's hard to predict. It's hard to predict where the change will go. So what you can predict is unpredictability. So you want to make sure that you're being more conservative in spending, in traveling, in all things, so that you have enough to weather that sort of storm. So what I can predict is there's going to be change, and a lot of it is going to happen in a way that is unexpected. And that may be frustrating to hear, but that's what the cards show. Change and unseen. There can be some very positive things here, though. For many of you, there might be a chance to do something that you love, or to speak up and get something that you want. So these are all good things. Be very mindful. Now let's take out like the current changing scope of the world. This is someone that is doing something that they shouldn't. 7 of Swords. It can be deceit, it can be unlawful, it can just be morally wrong, or just gives you the ick. It doesn't feel right. This is someone who is not communicating and not listening. And this is you saying, I'm not going to do that. And I don't stand for that. So if there's someone at a job and they're trying to get you to do something that contractually is wrong or legally is wrong or you don't like, just say no. Find someone else. And that is going to save you legal issues in the long run. And you're just going to feel better about yourself. You'll be able to get some sleep, because this is restlessness. That's what I'm getting. And you need to put some things to rest. There is a choice sometimes where you're like, if it means like, because also what I'm getting from a potential employer is it's my way or the highway. They're giving you this binary thing. Sometimes it's better to take this path if you can afford to. Not everyone can. But you still may be able to protest and say, I'll keep doing this, but I can't do what you're asking. So that's frustrating, isn't it? There's no easy way to get through that, but I can see it in the cards for some of you. So do what you need to do, but really make sure that you're getting the legal protection that you need if something doesn't feel right. Talk to someone else, get legal advice. I'm just reading the cards. For everyone where life feels good and there's nothing overly dramatic, I'm going to take it 2 or 3 levels up. This is a time at work where you could speak up more. By speaking up, you could create a change. Lean into the positive network that you've built, and they can help you get to the next level. Don't be afraid to say no. Be open to trying something new. And elevate all communication. There could be some morale issues, but you don't need to be a part of that. You don't want to be a part of that. Positivity is infectious. And I'm getting like, be positive, be polite. You don't want to be dismissive. You do want to be empathic. If someone doesn't want to listen, don't push the positivity out there. Just be that sort of zen, calm, positive self that you are. You don't have to say it. You can emote it. You can just sort of like be it. And hopefully that will start to rub off on people around you. Ultimately, I will say this. It's either a time to grow and change or a time to go. That's the one thing I can leave you with, okay? Let's move on to those of you that own your own company. Let me just create a little more space here. All right, if you have your own company, looking beyond the moment and looking towards innovation. So since we are in an interesting time right now, I think back to Steve Jobs, who was far from perfect, but back in the initial, like, was this the Great Recession? I think he was still alive at that time, and that's when some of their best products came out. Actually, between 2 recessions, because there was like one in 2001 or 2, and there was another one in 2008. So in those periods, that's when all the best products came out of Apple. Like the iPhone. They had just done the iMac, but like the iPad, the iPhone, and a lot of their new and emerging stuff came out during that period. And I remember hearing an interview where he said, we're going to innovate ourselves out of this. We're going to be seen as a thought leader. And then when things get better, people will want to consume what we've built. And he was right. So one thing that you can do as a company during this period of time is to be forward thinking. This moment won't last forever. This situation, it's transitory. So what you want to look at is, where are we at 2 years from now, 2 decades from now? You know, what's the long-term goal and the long-term game? And that is what you want to plan for. Yes, you have to be in the present too, but it has to be strategic. What can we do to make sure that we're seen as someone who's innovative and also very aware of what's going on, okay? That's the advice with this card, visionary. So as I look at this card, for those of you that are entrepreneurs, I'm getting sort of like a recycle or reuse energy, or refurbish energy, because we're looking at something having a second life here with the metal being reheated and being reforged. So one of the cost-saving things, or one of the long-term sort of goals or standards in your company, could be sustainability and recycling and making it a better planet and all of that. And because there are rising costs in certain supply chains, it might be a good way to look at, like, how can we reuse some of what we've got? So that is nice, like being scrappy, being resourceful, figuring out how to make something more out of what you've got, or how to take old things and make them new. That's coming through. For those of you that have done a good job to create a firm foundation, you can weather this storm. Be smart. For everyone else, it's a slow and steady build, but I actually see something that there's like a breakout moment happening here, so that's very good. Lock it down when it comes to communication and legal stuff. There could be something going on with contracts, communication, or someone that has loose lips that is saying things that they shouldn't. That needs to be dealt with. And then just again, maybe there's an announcement, a major change. You might also be moving. It could be an upgrade, like to a bigger facility, or it could be moving to a different city, state, country, or province. The element of surprise is really important to try to maintain it. That's why I'm getting like loose lips, someone speaking when they shouldn't, okay? That's everything. There is a pause. This is a slower period here, for sure, with the Four of Swords and the Death card, but we want to focus on the visionary piece and move beyond that. All right, let's take a look at those of you that are looking for work. The world is reminding you to go even bigger with the idea, with the vision. There's a chance that you might actually just be limiting yourself in a certain way, shape, or form. So really about kind of like breaking through the facade, the smoke screen, the shield, all that stuff that we've been talking about, and just saying, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to go for this. So go bigger, be bolder. This is also a relocation card. You've got 2 travel cards or 2 relocation cards, the World and the Ten of Wands. So if you're thinking about it, this could be a good time, but you need to look at all the details. Remember I said earlier, the devil's in the details. You really want to crunch the numbers and say, oh, if I move here, how much is it going to cost to store my stuff or to do a move? What are the costs about getting established in a new space? All of those sorts of things are important when you're looking at this. You may also be deciding to do something on your own. This is entrepreneurial. We just got finished with that, but you may decide, I want to distribute this on my own. So whether it's like podcasting, broadcasting, self-publishing, etc., that kind of energy comes through here as well. But the devil in the details piece is so important because you want to make sure that you factor in the costs of relocation or self-publication or self-release. And things could just be happening quickly, so you want to ground yourself. Because this comes through as kind of topsy-turvy. The world's upside down, okay? Let's take a look at all the cards here and see what's going on. Like right now, right here, this is the time to be active. I mentioned that procrastination could step in. Don't procrastinate. Now, patience is necessary because you may not get an immediate answer on things, but there's something going on right now where the early bird gets the worm, so send out that application today if you've been sitting on something. I would really encourage you in this period of time to look beyond geographic borders. So again, it could be a different zip code or postal code, or it could be a different country or a different city. But if you can work remotely or if you're willing to move, that can help. If you're willing to change a bit what you do, take your skills and repackage them. Now is the time for that. Some of you may want to do something a little bit more creative. I'm just picking up on that energy here as well. As we look at the Justice card in reverse, it's basically a no, but sometimes that no gets stuck in our head. So just remember that rejection, hearing the word no, having a block, it's kind of like the cosmic game of pinball. The universe is trying to nudge you gently in a different direction. So sometimes this is cosmic redirection, cosmic protection. So you may really, really want something, but you might be avoiding this environment that we see here, which might be low morale, people that are argumentative, a boss that doesn't listen. So it's okay if you're pushed away from that. There might be a couple of false starts. It looks like you will land it on this third approach here. So maybe there's 2 or 3 interviews where nothing happens, but then we see something here. I think the main thing, again, is devil in the details. Look at the small print. Look at different geographical spaces very clearly coming through with the World and the Ten of Wands. And say no if something doesn't look or feel right. Push back, negotiate well. I'm not paying a lot of attention right now to wealth when we're looking at this because I'm focusing more on potential. But with this, I mean, just another broad stroke for all categories this month is not to overextend. With the scales reversed and when we're looking at money, It's all got to balance out. So if you're thinking of doing something and it's not giving you enough, you have to push until you find the right thing. Okay, let's move on to students. In this moment in time, it's all about making the connections with friends, with peers, with teachers, and also taking on those things like internships, anywhere that you can grow your network, because this is going to help you in the long run get future jobs. It's also going to help steer you in the right path when it comes to people that have been through what you've been through. So mentorship and networking is coming through very, very clearly with this. You might also have a relationship that just came forth, and it's about finding the balance. As we just talked about, balance is important. We don't want that to be a distraction too much. All right, other things that I see for students: being honest with yourself with how much you can take on. Some of you want to pivot or transfer or change your major, so that's okay. But the timing is everything. So talk to someone and calculate it. I mean, we're already pretty much through this semester, so you're pretty much looking at the summer or fall semesters, depending on how your school organizes the year, and you got to weigh the options. If you're just looking at colleges and universities or programs, visit. You got to get there in person and make sure that you like the environment, because sometimes things look good on catalogs, sometimes people are great, but it would be great if you could go there when class is in session and you can talk to some people. I did that once for my undergraduate degree, and there was like a weekend getaway where you went there and you got to meet the professors, hang out with some students, and I just didn't vibe with it. It was too small and there was too many other things going on, even a little too pretentious. And I thought, I don't want to be in a place where you're not welcomed even as a potential student. I thought, this isn't it. So it was super helpful to go there while class was in session. So that would be my advice if you're looking for something new or looking to transfer, whatever it is. Talk to someone that's there. Go to the place when there are people there. That's going to give you the vibe check that you need. Okay, retirees. This is about healing, first of all. The Ace of Cups in reverse, you're taking care of your heart and you're saying, I need this moment. Maybe you need this moment to rest, to release, to travel, to explore within, meditate. Maybe you're separating yourself a little bit from people and energies and activities where they're just not leading with integrity. You're focusing on what the heart needs and what the heart wants, and you may be putting more energy into either a new existing relationship or one that you want to find, just relationships in general. But before you get there, you have to work on you first. So heal and recalibrate, and then you can focus on love and friendship, which is a nice segue to look at love. All right, so in this particular area, here's our card, resistance. I already talked about this, but it's coming through one more time. You can't force the connection. The center card, the spark is either there or it isn't. So that's the first and most important thing. If the spark has gone out and you're the only one investing in it, you don't want to be the one carrying the full energy of trying to create that. So allow the resistance sometimes to push you in a better path, because again, I'm getting that sort of general nudge or push in a new direction. You don't have to always go against the flow. Okay? What is. Let's go deeper, and then I'll intersperse some of these cards as we get into the deeper categories here. All right, we'll focus on those that are in a relationship, those that are seeking love. I actually got two for you, so I'll give you two. Interesting. And those that are single and happy. Major energy going through all of these. So if you're in a relationship, if you want to make it work and you're both putting the energy in, we have the card of success. If you need to go your separate ways, success, because it's actually a little bit of both this month. You get to choose what you want. So healthy relationships get more healthy. If you're ready to make the move, it's time. That's what we get for this, okay? So I'm going to separate it into those two categories because this is so kind of like binary. If you're in a really good relationship, what we see here is navigating change together, okay? It could be one partner getting an upgrade because completion, change, and we have like birth and stability, so that could be good. One partner, though, could be dealing with some of this self-doubt, inner saboteur. So the two of you are trying to what? Find that balance, strike a chord, strike a balance. Remember, there are times in the relationship where one partner may be doing the bulk of the work, the other times when the other partner may, and I see this sort of being an evening out. So whatever side you're on, just kind of sit for a second. Don't make any sudden moves. Be there together. It may be a great time to rekindle the spark if you're feeling a little distant. If the partner's working all the time, a date night would be great. Just a little bit of together time. Be honest with yourselves. Honest communication is key. What I do like, though, is I see passion here. I think it's just a matter of time and allocation. Okay? If, however, you're like, Nicholas, I've had it up to here. I see it. There are a couple things that could be causing this. One, there could be a party that's just not giving what you're giving. There could be a lack of spark. If the spark's gone, it's gone, right? There's only so much you can reignite. And so in this situation, be smart, be practical, and be tactical. So talk to someone and make sure that you have what you need. But we did get a card of success in either route, so you can navigate this. Kind of like we saw here, brave the journey. You are more ready for this than you think. Leaning into this, though, we see you feeling successful about your choices and your investment in these choices in the relationship as it all kind of wraps up. All right, let's now focus on those of you that are looking for love. Couple of things. So the card that I was ready to choose, I think, was the Six of Pentacles. I think this one flew out, but either way, karma, judgment. The karma piece is really valuable. So I like that they call it karma in this because I already see the judgment card as past life. You're bringing into this moment in time karma. And we have communication, the 5 and 7 of Swords being some of the main karmic lessons. But the deep past was the independent 9 of Pentacles. So what you want to think about in this moment is a full, like not rushing anything. That's why this card is more about patience. And then allowing one another to be what you need to be, not trying to change the partner or yourself. So this isn't a fixer-upper episode. You are who you are, okay? And then are you allocating enough time? This is the big message here. Do you have the time that it takes to invest into this? Because right now, there may need to be some recalibrating done. What kind of partner might you be bringing in? There could be a Scorpio. There could be a water sign. Could be a Libra. You have choices, maybe too many. And so when that happens, I would say, what are you looking for? Also, like, the world is your oyster in this moment. So if you're very open, you have a lot of possibilities coming through. But I think free up your schedule a bit. Make sure that you aren't trying to change the partner. Make sure the communication is easy and make sure the spark is mutual. All of these things will kind of like allow things to be exactly what you want them to be. And here's a couple of notes here. One of the partners that you might be meeting this month could be separated or on a rebound. So be mindful of that. There could also be someone that loves someone that lost someone. So they're healing a little bit. So make sure that they are healed and that you are healed before moving forward. When it's easy and when the spark is mutual, it's really there. I actually feel like the Scorpio energy that's coming through is the easiest. And so the main thing here is it feels like they might want to settle down quickly, or there could be a child attached to them, or maybe like a dog, something ready-made about the family where it's a little bigger than you think. So be honest with yourself and with that person if that's what you're looking for. Okay, if you're single and happy, good for you. We have the Tower in reverse. This is a time to allow for necessary changes to happen. And some of you are sort of like leading the charge, saying, I'm going to really roll up my sleeves and do this, figure this out. So I actually love a reverse tower when it's something that you want. Think of it as home improvement. You knock down a wall, you know that you're going to have to now clean it up and build something else in its place, but it was a decision. It was a premeditated decision. So some of you are deciding in some facet of your life to get out that sledgehammer and break something down so that there's room for something new. There's some work associated with it, but it's great. And what I see as the payoff for you could be this moving up or moving on, because we have both here. There could be this feeling of liberation because death does provide that. It's like, I just shed my skin, I can do anything that I want. And this creative and passion, freedom here that we're getting with the Knight of Cups. Okay, let's take a look at your Destiny card. Follow your intuition. It's like High Priestess energy coming through loud and clear. And we were talking about that Two of Wands. Give yourself time to envision, to visualize, to imagine what else might be. Because if you can see it here, if you can feel it here, you can breathe it into the world around you. This is also really important when we're looking at some of the challenging cards like the 5 and 7 of Swords. Speak up if you need to. Both of these cards reverse really are encouraging you to put a line in the sand and say no if something doesn't resonate, okay? This is your opportunity now to look at one last question. Anything that you may still need some advice on, let's give the cards a shuffle and see what Spirit has to say. Beautiful energy here. For a yes or no, it's a yes. However, in this moment in time, don't panic if everything that you're looking for isn't immediately there. Oftentimes with the Four of Wands, we set the stage for this to happen. Friendship, stability, partnership, happiness. Keep doing the work. It's incoming. It may not be right in front of you, but it's incoming. Focus in this moment, now if we take it beyond a yes or no, really on the quality, not the quantity. Often in the Four of Wands, there's just two people representing friendship, stability, and partnership. We have a little bit more here, but it's not about how many, it's about how deep the connection, particularly with friendship and partnership and love, or even your family, like looking at the ones in your life where you're like, yeah, that's a good one. That's worth the investment. I want to go deeper there. That's what you want to focus on. And one of the surprises this month could be a really close friend, a really close ally or love that can go the distance, because this is a card associated with marriage and commitment, and this is family. So you might be finding someone, whether it's chosen family, like a really good friend, or actual family where you're marrying into a bigger family. There's something beautiful that's coming forth. Or you're just building that foundation. So for those of you that broke down the wall, the figurative wall, you've now used that material, if I can get this to stand up, to create a nice new stage upon which this can sit, okay? That was a nice way to end this. So if you enjoyed this reading in any capacity, please do me a favor. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and if you're new or a longtime viewer and you've never subscribed, hit the subscribe button. I'm so close to a milestone, and I'll do something special when that happens. So let's get there fast and do something amazing here, hopefully within the next couple of months. You can also give me a follow across social media. It's always my full name on all major platforms. NicholasAshbaugh.com on Blue Sky. You can also go to my website of the same name, NicholasAshbaugh.com. If you'd like to give back just a little bit more, there are a lot of different ways to do that. So below, you can do a super like. You can also, in a live stream, do super chat and super stickers. And you can become a member as well. And I'm doing a members only video next week. You can check it out on the main channel page and set a reminder. I'm going to do more of those because I feel like we need them right now. This is an interesting time where there's a lot of changes. And I did more live streams during COVID. So I'm like, now's another time where we might need more. But I'm going to kind of lean into memberships for this so that it can be a smaller community of the people that are always here. So if you want to join, this is a nice time. And over the next few months, I'll be doing a little bit more with members. So there you go. Just a quick reminder, I don't use direct messages, nor do I have private appointments. So if anyone's offering that, you know it's not me. We're going to get to Apollo in just 1 second. But before that, I just want to say thank you to everybody for giving me time over the past couple of months to get back on my feet. I had to travel during the wildfires, then I had a respiratory infection. I'm feeling good now, but it will take the rest of this month to get both caught up on this month and get ahead for next month. So I'm one person that does a lot of videos, and there's not a lot of support on a daily basis other than Dakota on the weekends. So just know that I'm doing the absolute best that I can, and I appreciate your love and support and empathy as I get healthy and happy again. All right, folks. So speaking of love and support, let's end with Apollo. He's so cute here. I'm going to give him a pat on the head, and then we're going to wrap up for today. Hey, buddy. He's a good dog. Yes, you are. All right, folks. Thank you so much for being the absolute best part of what I do here on YouTube. You have a lot of choices. I wouldn't be here without your love and support. I hope to see you soon. In the meantime, take care.